Alright, welcome to round 3 of the Pitskill GT3 Open Championship. This time we are at Brands Hatch, which is not a particularly popular track, and that combined with the fact that it was guaranteed to be wet, and also there being a 24-hour race going on at the same time as this one, all of those things combined together to mean that this was not the most popular race. So there were only 2 splits this time instead of 3, which means a few people that would normally be in split 2 got bumped up into this one. So again, you will see quite a few new faces that haven't been in the previous rounds. But yeah, I will introduce the top 10 from qualifying, and then you'll just have to get to know everyone else throughout the race, I guess. So right at the front of the grid, qualifying in P1 is a familiar face. It is Fredriksson. He finished in P2 of round 1 and P4 in the second round. So we'll see if he can do equally well in this one. And qualifying in second position, we've got Romeo, who was last week's driver of the day. He did only finish in 11th in the end last time, but yeah, had a decent recovery after getting taken out at the start. And in P3, we've got my friend Balázs, the Hungarian, in this lovely pink livery. And so far, he has had a 5th place finish and an 8th place finish. But qualifying in P3 today, he might be able to do a little better than that. And qualifying in 4th position, we've got Peltari, who missed the first round, but finished in 9th position last time out. In P5, we've got Sherjak in this nice livery on the Porsche. He has not done any of the previous rounds in this championship, so this is the first time you will have seen him. In P6, we've got Heusinkveld, who had, I think, a 13th place finish and a 24th place finish. So we'll see if he can do a little better today. He certainly qualified a lot higher than normal, so it's a good start. And in P7, we've got Severin, who you might notice was in a different car last time out. He was in a blue Aston Martin last time. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that you can change car for every single round of the season, but luckily most people don't bother. In 8th place, we've got Del Rio, who had a pretty miserable time last time out. Finished, I think, dead last. So he will be looking to improve and hoping that the Honda won't kill him as it usually does. Qualifying in P9, we've got Bromfield in a rather nice livery on the Mustang. He missed the last round but finished 16th in round 1. And then the final car in the top 10 is round 1's driver of the day, Burr, in the plain white Ferrari. And as usual, I'll quickly point out where I qualified in case anyone cares. I am in P15, in the perfect spot to try and finish in P14 again, like I did in round 1 and round 2. But yeah, with all the introductions out of the way, let's jump into the race. Okay, we are ready for the green flag to be waved, and there it is. We're going to head down to turn 1 and see how many people can actually survive these treacherous conditions. Looks like no changes in position at the front, but we do have an incident at the back. We'll go and take another look at that in a second, but let's make sure all these front runners make it through the first couple of corners. Seems like, well, I spoke too soon. Seems like everybody made it through safely, I was going to say, but a little bit of door banging there. Luckily, they all kind of survived that. I don't think any positions even changed hands. That went about as well as you could expect, really, for a shunt there. Let's take a look at this incident that we saw on the first corner. It was Burr in the white Ferrari. He's going to get spun around, I think, by Bromfield. Yeah, a little tap there. I mean, you could argue whose fault that is, but Bromfield coming off a lot worse there. Didn't seem to actually affect Burr too much. This was Amy Lavoie, I don't know how to pronounce it. She comes through this chaos, sees Bromfield spinning on the right-hand side, and now Perry in this absolutely disgusting Shrek livery. I might have to blur that out, it's hurting my eyes. But yeah, he's going to go around the outside, and now Amy going to go around the outside, potentially going to touch the death curb. Nope, she doesn't, but does end up running wide onto the death grass. Doesn't die though, so I guess we need to rename that to just the grass. But the net result is that she loses 2 positions. So back with Burr, who had that little incident at turn 1. He's trying to follow Del Rio through. Del Rio making it past Severin there. Severin get a little wavy on the slippery curbs. And this looks like it's going to allow Burr through on the inside too. This corner absolutely miserable in these conditions, I will say. But yeah, gets past Severin. And it looks like the Mustang of Yoltalo maybe also going to do the same. As they come side by side down this long straight for the first time. And a very unnecessary contact there. Not sure what that was about, but Yoltalo going to be ahead before the braking zone for this fast right-hander. And that is a position gained for him. And further back in the field on this first lap, we have an incident. Unfortunately, I think that's Salvato in the black Ferrari going to the back of someone. We've got Salvato on the left here, and yeah, just taps the back, and then unfortunately holds his brakes a bit too much after the initial incident, which then causes more of a pile-up. And back in the midfield, we've got Tideman here in this purple Ferrari chasing myself and Mandel and Cook. As he goes very sideways across this curb, manages to keep it alive, but that's going to allow Perry to get alongside. We can also see Amy going double file into this corner as well with the Mustang behind. And yeah, fair play for everyone surviving the 2x2 wide there. And in the end, it meant that Tideman in the purple Ferrari lost a position, and so did the green Mustang of Decker. But they are back to single file now as they come through the final corner to complete this first lap. And onto the main start-finish straight. Not much of a straight, to be honest. It's not even straight. It's not particularly long, but it's long enough for the Mustang to do its thing and use that power to potentially get back past Amy. So yeah, she gained a position in the previous corner and instantly loses it again. As Decker back up a position. We can also see the yellow-fronted BMW of Klinger in the background defending against a move from Bromfield in the Mustang. Bromfield going to go the long way around. Oh, but he's on the curve, very slippery, as you can see. We'll give him the inside line for this next corner. And it looks like there was a little contact there, bumping Klinger off the track, which is going to cost Klinger 2 positions. Let's see that again from another point of view. See if there actually was contact. It looked like it from the other angle. Yeah, I think that's definitely a hit from Bromfield, just coming out a little too wide there. And now that things have settled down a little, we'll bring up the timing tower so you can see who is where. And where Spinner is on the grass. He somehow survives. I guarantee if more people touch that grass later in the race, they will not survive, because, yeah, that is deadly even in the dry, let alone in the wet. But he does survive, possibly going to lose a position to Cook here, though. Cook on the inside into the last corner, and I think he's going to get that done. But now that we've done a few laps, let's see what the order is at the front. We've got Fredriksson in P1, with just under a second gap back to Romeo in P2, and then good old Balaj in the pink Unicorn Mustang in P3, just a little bit further behind. We'll come check back in with them once those gaps shrink down a little, if they do. Back with Spinner, who touched the grass earlier and survived. He's now going to touch the grass and not survive so well. As Mandel gets collected there, you see me sneak through, me and Perry. Let's see what exactly caused that. I think he just touched the grass on the right-hand side here. Yeah, just maybe like a millimetre of tyre on the grass. It really is that deadly here at this track. Obviously, Mandel goes into the barrier there as well, loses 2 positions, and potentially going to lose some more, as these other guys have got quite a lot of overspeed now. Yeah, there's 1 position to Bromfield, another position to Amy, and the Ferrari dives at the last second. Bit of a brave move there. Almost makes contact. Mandel might just be able to hold on to this one. That is the Ferrari of Tideman that we saw earlier having a few incidents. We'll see if he can do anything into T1. Not going to be close enough. Although Mandel looking like he's going a little wide. Yeah, he does indeed. Maybe he got some damage from that hit with the wall. Well, he definitely got some damage, but maybe it was quite significant, as he definitely struggled to make T1 there. And further ahead, we've got a nice train here between Heisenberg, Del Rio, Burr, Yatalo. Nice little 4-way forming here. And there's also Severin in the white BMW, not too far behind. It looks like Burr managed to get alongside of Del Rio here. This is the fight for P7. Go into this last corner side by side. Oh, very nearly contact. This is also giving Yotalo a chance. And yeah, I think he's already past Burr. He's now going to maybe make up 2 positions here in this 1 corner and 1 straight. And yeah, the Mustang speed, again, that we mentioned earlier, going to help him out on the straight there. But Del Rio trying to hold it around the outside. Doesn't manage to do so. Bit of a wiggle there, though, on the exit from Yotalo. Might give Del Rio a chance here. No. So that's 2 positions gained in just a couple of corners for Yotalo. Here we've got Klinger in P18 after getting bumped off the track earlier and losing a couple of positions. He's still vaguely in touch with this gang ahead as he touches the same bit of grass that Spinner did. I told you only need to just brush that, and yeah, you end up in this gravel. Very unfortunate for him, but I'm sure he won't be the last person we see do that. We got Severin in the white BMW still chasing down this pack just ahead of him as Del Rio goes very wide. Burr and him probably now going to go side by side into this next corner. No, Del Rio manages to stay ahead. But Severin touches another deadly part of the track. Yeah, this is another one I'm sure we will see quite a lot of people fall foul of. I don't think Mandel has pitted to repair his damage, so he's probably going to be a sitting duck here for Amy Lavoie to get past down the straight. Depends how bad the damage is and exactly what part of the car is damaged, but he's definitely not looked too great over the last couple of laps. Amy going to have to try and go around the outside into this fast right-hander. Quite hard to do without ending up on the grass on the left there, but she manages it. We're now going to go side by side into the next corner. Can Amy actually get this done? Another corner that's very horrible to go side by side through, but they both survive, and she does make it through up into P15. But unfortunately, I've got to show you the horrific livery of Perry again, because he touched the death curb and is now dead. We don't need to rename that one. That one does kill you every time you touch it. But I'll do your eyes a favour, maybe blur this out. But it seems like he's stuck in this boggy swamp grass for a long time. You know, Shrek loves a swamp. Now switches to the other side of the grass. As we see Adam Milne in the Mustang going to potentially pick up a place here. He's going to go around the outside, but Perry holding on. They're probably going to end up going down the back straight side by side. And they do indeed, but you would think this should be fairly easy for Adam Mill in the Mustang, the faster straight line car, to get this done. He's going to have the inside going into the next right-hander. We'll see if he can keep this position. I think that should be easily done. It is indeed. Now, we haven't seen much of Elshel in this race yet, but he's here, and he's going backwards on the death curb, just like many before him, and probably many after him. See if we can get out of the swamp a bit quicker than Perry did. Coming into this same corner, we've got Hamilton, not the Hamilton, just a Hamilton, as he goes for a spin and gets a hit from, I think it was Hamal. And we can also see somebody else recovering there. It was Angela Merkel recovering. Let's have a look and see if they hit the same death curb. They did indeed. You literally cannot touch the brakes while you're on that curb, or that happens. And yeah, that's 3 people we've seen do that in the space of 1 lap. But now, a pair of cars that actually survived that corner. This is just after that corner, so they made it through, but they're not going to make it any further, unfortunately. That was not the death curb, that was the death Ferrari. And this is the point of view from the death Ferrari of Salvato. And yeah, a bit of target fixation, I think, there. Just goes straight into the back of Sardonovic. I think that one could have been avoided, but, you know, easier said than done sometimes. Well, let's switch our attention to somebody chasing down another Mustang. Hopefully not going to go into the back of them. This time it's Churjak that we're on board with. Also got Heusinkveld in the Ferrari not too far behind. Yeah, Churjak chasing down Peltari as Churjak makes a little bit of a mistake, touches the grass, somehow survives. Let's have another look at that. And I realize it might not look like much. He's going to barely touch the grass here on the left rear wheel, but honestly, that like 90% of the time just instantly spins you. Now we've got the big grinning Porsche of Amy Lavoie coming through that same section and survives again, just. She was a little closer to death this time, but she does survive. But she also gets a drive-through for that. I guess from cutting the first part of that corner too much. That is rough. Obviously didn't actually gain any time overall, but yeah, if you cut the track, even if you spin or go on the grass afterwards, you still cut the track. So yeah, she's going to instantly serve her drive-through. That will cost her about 40 or 50 seconds, I think. Now we switch to somebody else who loves a track cut. It is my friend Balazs for here. He is in P3 chasing down Romeo up ahead as Romeo goes onto the grass. Probably ends up in the wall there. Let's have a look. Again, this goes to show just how deadly this track is. Like, even the guys up at the front who know how to race, who've done plenty of races, just go a little wide. I mean, he goes quite wide there. I'll admit, he goes more than a little wide there. But he basically keeps it out of the wall. A little tap of the wall. That could have been a lot worse. This train for P7 still going strong here as your Tarlo up ahead goes a little wide. That's going to give Del Rio in the Honda the chance to maybe get past down this straight. The Honda not too bad on the straights, so it might just be able to keep up with the Mustang there, and it does indeed. He's going to nip through as long as he can keep it tight into this next corner. Might have to go defensive. He does indeed. He knows the Mustang was going to just dive bomb him into the next corner if he didn't do that. They're going to go side by side. This might allow Burr through. It does, although Yurtalo will have the inside for this next corner. Doesn't even use the inside, actually. Just goes back to the normal line and makes it back through. So damage limitation there from Yurtalo. Only lost 1 position, not 2. This is Vegahaupt, who we haven't seen much of because he started from the pits, and he again just puts a millimeter of tyre onto that grass and dies. And again, we're back with this train for P7, still with Del Rio at the front as Burr goes for a little spin. And yeah, he's out of the train. Although his car magically self-rights itself. That could have been a lot worse if he had to spin it back manually there, but he's going to lose another position to myself and another one to Bromfield, so that is rough for him. Dropping down from P9 to P13 there. Now we've got a Mustang, potentially going to use that Mustang power to zoom past someone on the straight. This is Decker trying to overtake Mandel, and he does indeed get past, although maybe goes a little deep. Yeah, I think a bit of a case of with great power comes great responsibility and all that. So yeah, he actually ends up costing himself a place as Severin goes past. So that did not work out well, but potentially Spinner as well now trying to get past. Spinner on the inside, that will turn into the outside for this next corner though, so you would think Decker should be able to hold on to this. Hopefully Spinner doesn't touch the death curb. I think he survived, but Decker is going to hold on to the position. Yeah, Spinner's still alive, so there's that. And now another Mustang on a straight. I wonder how this is going to go. This is Bromfield chasing myself. Going to look to the inside. To be fair, he didn't actually get past on the straight, just spooked me under braking. I wasn't 100% sure if he would get it stopped, so I gave some room. And now he's going to have the inside for this hairpin, which we have seen people make it work going around the outside here, which is what I'm going to try and do. But he does give me a little tap, or maybe I turned into him. I don't know. I can't remember. We'll let the stewards decide that one. But that does actually allow Burr to get alongside me. And now Burr gets past as well. So I lost 2 positions there in just a couple of corners. Now, I haven't shown you guys much of this battle between Heusinkveld and Peltari, but it's been like this pretty much the entire race so far since Jojak made a bit of a mistake and Heusinkveld closed up. This, again, is the battle for P4, so quite high up. But Heusinkveld just not able to get past. He's just been bumper to bumper for like the last 14 laps or something like that. So yeah, we'll come back to them if things spice up a little more. Up out the front, it's still the same order of Fredriksson, Balazs, and then Romeo. As Romeo does a nice little drift through that corner there, but then a little too much drifting. I was about to give him some style points, although maybe he gets some more for that 360. You know? That was pretty good. Let's have a look and see just how much grass he did actually touch. I mean, he was already sliding there, but he kind of recovered it, and then again, just a little bit, just half your tyre on that grass is enough to send you round. Doesn't actually cost him any positions because he was so far ahead. This battle between myself and Bromfield and Burr has now changed into just me and Bromfield as Burr pitted early. Bromfield going to go a little wide here, which gives me a chance to get alongside, but we know how this story ends down a long straight with a Mustang and a Ferrari. I thought it would at least force him to go to the inside, but he's so far ahead that he doesn't really need to compromise his line too much into the next corner. So he does hang on to it for now, but it does seem like he's struggling a little in the corners as I seem to close up every time during them. So might still be able to make something happen here as we both take a little risk going onto that curb. That is one of the few that you can actually touch. As I look for a little dive here into the sketchiest corner on the track, he does put a wheel on the grass and doesn't die. That is one of the few times you'll see anyone touch that grass and not have any kind of negative impact on them. But yeah, I was kind of hoping for a freebie there once I'd pushed him out wide a little. But he survives, and we're going to head down into the final corner. And we see him go very wide there, which lets me through. I guess he was just taking a late apex for the pit entry. Back to this battle between Heusinkveld and Peltari for P4. Peltari taking quite an inside line there, and somebody off in the gravel. Peltari going super defensive here now. This might be a chance for Heusinkveld. They're going to go side by side into the hairpin. Seems like Heusinkveld is a little ahead here. Like I said, you can make this work go around the outside because it turns into the inside for the next corner, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Heusinkveld might have finally got this done after 19 laps. I think he has, although we do have a straight coming up now. Heusinkveld's also going to the inside to defend this corner, which is going to compromise his line going down this long-ass straight at the back. So he's definitely going to be vulnerable to the Mustang here. I see the Mustang not particularly close yet, but I guarantee by the end of the straight he will be. We'll see if Heusinkveld decides to go defensive. He does indeed, and yep, the Mustang fully alongside by the braking zone. Well, not fully, but hub to hub. Heusinkveld defends well. Cuts across. I thought there was potentially going to be contact there, but they do survive. Peltari desperately wants this place back, but judging by how well Heusinkveld was keeping up with him and staying all over him, he's still on the inside line here as well. But yeah, judging by how well he was chasing him, I would assume now that he's got clear air, Heusinkveld is going to clear off. But yeah, finally gets it done. Well played. We saw Bromfield go into the pits earlier, and somebody else who went into the pits was Balazs from P2 in the race. He's going to come out just ahead of Amy Lavoie, who has not done her pit stop yet. But it looks like Amy going to try and overtake Balazs here. This is a bit pointless, to be honest, because they're not really in the same race. If Balazs has already done his pit stop, and yeah, Amy forcing him to the inside here. This is just costing them both time. It's not against any rules, like it's technically for position. But in reality, Balazs is an entire pit stop, which is like a minute at least ahead. So, yeah, kind of pointless, just costing you both time. But Balazs does manage to hold on and stay ahead now, so hopefully he will be clear. Somebody else who has already done their pit stop is Burr, as we see two cars releasing from the pits. Very close for Cook hitting Del Rio up front there, but Burr and Yiltalo are going to go side by side. We'll see what ends up happening as they come through the hairpin. Burr just a whisker ahead as they went for the turn-in point there. And yeah, gets it done, manages to keep the position. I can't remember what positions they were in before the pit stop, I'll be honest. Cook was definitely behind this gang, so he's made up a few positions, I would say, during the pit stops. But Burr going to try and get this back now, looking to the inside on Cook. Well, I don't think close enough, or actually closer than I thought, so close that there's contact. Let's have a look at that from another angle. So Burr on the left, Cook on the right. Oh, Cook actually brakes very late and goes a bit too deep. Again, we'll leave it to the stewards to figure out who's at fault, but personally, I guess I would say like kind of 50-50 on that one. Heusinkveld is just finishing up his pit stop. We'll see if he comes out ahead of Peltari still. I don't think he does. I think that was Peltari that went past way before he exited the pits. Let's look at Heusinkveld's pit stop here, because something must have gone wrong. Takes it fairly chill on the way in. Definitely could have gone a little faster, but that wasn't enough to cost him the sort of 4 or 5 seconds that he lost to Peltari. Let's see if he makes it into the pit box. Okay, he doesn't. He has to reverse into the pit. Let's see how his exit goes. He's actually still in reverse. Oh, that is what cost him all the time. So he put it in reverse to start with to go back into the pit, which cost him a little bit of time. And then he's still in reverse when he goes to set off. That is tough. I mean, we've all done it. Most of us, at least. But, yeah, that is not a nice one when you're in P3 he would have been in. That would have been podium position for him. And, yeah, he might have thrown it all away with that. As we see him go past Sardonovic on the pit exit, but I think Sardonovic hasn't pitted at this point. The BMW of Severin right on the back of Spinner now as they come into turn 1. Spinner in the purple Ferrari. You can also see Mandel not too far behind these guys as Spinner has a big old wobble, big slide through turn 1. Does well to get back onto the normal racing line, but then goes deep. This might give Severin a chance now. Mandel was also very close to rear-ending Severin there, I think. See if they can all keep it off the death curb on the right-hand side there. They do. Spinner is looking very loose. We see him having another few wobbles there. Maybe he needs to knock the TC up by 1 notch or something, because that is looking like a bit of a sketchy car right now. Although he might have also made the mistake that I made, which was to not change tyres during this race. Normally in the wet, you don't really need to change tyres, because the wet tyres don't degrade that fast. But in this race, because it wasn't fully wet, it was just kind of damp, the wet tyres really did need to be changed halfway through. As we see Spinner, yeah, go very sideways again. I think he's having the same problem I did. Just after halfway through the race, the tyres were deadly if you didn't change them. So yeah, he might be suffering from the same thing that I was. Mandel getting closer and closer now as the laps progress. And maybe going to look for a move down into the hairpin. Not quite close enough there. He's tucked right in on the rear of Spinner. And Spinner also goes a little wide there. Bit of a clumsy touch there between the pair of them. Very close into that next corner. Spinner again on the curb, bouncing off. And again, wiggling everywhere. I think that's going to allow Mandel through. It does indeed. I mentioned that I was having issues with the tyres, and you're about to see a good demonstration of that as I turn into this corner and the car just spins. Didn't touch a curb, didn't touch any grass, just lost it by turning. You see everybody skittled around me, people bouncing over the grass. Yeah, that drops me all the way down into P14. And then Bromfield is going to come past here and make it P15. This battle for P6 still raging on here. We've got Shojak still holding on to it at the moment, but Del Rio looking spicy in the Honda behind him. Let's see if anybody can do anything into this hairpin, as what they do is smash into each other, unfortunately. And somehow the Mustang also spins there. I thought he'd made it through cleanly. So coming through turn 1, you'll tell they're going a little sideways. But Del Rio in the Honda not super close here, and then just outbrakes himself into the back of Shojak. But then the Mustang, just gets clipped by the front of the Honda. Burr makes it through there, picks up 2 positions. But everybody else gets a little shafted. So after that pit stop faux pas that Heusinkveld made, he finds himself back in the position he was in for the first half of this race, which is right behind the Mustang of Peltari. He closed up the entire 4 or 5 second gap that there was originally after he left the pits. And now he's got all of the hard work to do again. And we can see Cook closing right up on me after that little spin that I had. Cook, of course, also getting into a little incident at this very same corner a couple of laps earlier with Burr. And we see me running quite wide, still really struggling with the tyres at this point. And they're only going to get worse as the race progresses, unfortunately. We are going to go side by side down this back straight. I've got the inside for the next corner, but not really close enough to do anything with it. At least going to give it the old college try, but not really much I can do. And then Cook goes defensive on the next corner, so he's going to secure that position, moving him up into P14. We're on board with Amy chasing the disgusting Shrek livery again, and also got the McLaren up ahead, who has a big snap of oversteer, and Amy going to dive this. That was quite a brave move there, I would say, but luckily the McLaren saw it coming. We have another look at this. Did they touch the curb? Nope, just too much throttle on the exit. Maybe TC not quite high enough. And yeah, that's going to cost them 1 position, 2 positions. And we also see the purple Ferrari rejoining. What happened to them? It is the Ferrari of Tideman. We saw them getting into a few scrapes early on. And yep, the death curb strikes again. That same old curb. I think that's what, the 5th or 6th person we've seen spin from that curb now? Heusinkveld still chasing down Peltari, getting closer and closer with every lap, and he's pretty much as close as he needs to be now to start putting the pressure on and force Peltari to take different lines, as indeed we do see him go to the inside here, having to defend. But like I keep saying, the Mustang with the straight line speed makes it very hard to actually punish someone for having to take a bad line. We'll see if Heusinkveld can do anything Going down this straight, I would expect not. I think we're going to see the Mustang just drive away from him here. And that is exactly what we see. But at the end of the first stint, he did manage to overtake into turn 2, I think it was. Kind of went around the outside. So we'll see if we can repeat that. Does look like he took a better line through there, and he is getting a bit of a run. Peltari going defensive. This is exactly what happened last time. And again, Heusinkveld going to get his nose ahead, but falls short a little here. Yeah, not going to be able to put the power down well enough on that line. And unfortunately for him, Peltari staying ahead. And speaking of unfortunate things, I am unfortunately still on my really dead wet tyres from the start of the race, and Amy was smart enough to change tyres, so she has caught up a lot in the last few laps. And right on my ass as we go into the hairpin. Gives me a little tap in the back there. Just going to have the inside as we both go basically off track. She actually does keep it just on track. I go well off. Watching it again from her point of view, I would say she's very lucky that I do go straight off here, because if I tried to take this corner like normal, she would have just torpedoed straight into the side of me. Heusinkveld still on the back of Peltari, but this time we've got a back marker of Vegahaupt in the middle of them. Well, in front of them for now, but going to be in this sandwich in a second, and this could be the opportunity that Heusinkveld needs. I think he maybe almost hit the Lamborghini there. Yeah, he was right on the bumper as they went into this straight, but either the Mustang speed or just getting kind of boxed in by the Lamborghini meant that Heusinkveld couldn't do anything. So for now, going to have to just stay right behind him yet again. This battle for P6 that we've seen for quite a lot of the race might finally be settled, or maybe not. I was going to say there's only a couple of laps left now, and Del Rio had a bit of a lead, but Yotalo going to look for a move into this very sketchy corner. Gets it done though, I think. That was all caused by Del Rio making an unforced error up ahead. Now, up at the very front of the field, we finally have some action as Balazs has actually managed to catch right up to Fredriksson, who's in P1. There was quite a big gap between them, but Fredriksson flashing away to let the back markers know that P1 and P2 are battling on the last couple of laps here. There's probably only going to be 2 more laps. And yeah, Balazs has managed to get right on the back of him. Let's see if he can do anything here. Maybe Fredriksson did the same mistake as me of not taking tyres. If he did, then he's certainly handling it better than I did so far. But yes, it's kind of odd that Balazs has gained so much in the last few laps. We've also got a back marker of Tideman, who's kind of hanging on to this pair, but he is all the way down in like P25 or something. So hopefully he's not going to get himself involved in this. As we see, Balazs gets alongside with Fredriksson now. Fredriksson will have the inside line. Is that going to be enough to hold off Balazs? I don't think it is. I think Balazs is ahead, so that is a change for the lead. As also Tideman looking to overtake P2 here, which is not a smart decision if you're a back marker and it's the last 2 laps. But no, he thinks better of it. So yeah, Balazs up into P1, Fredriksson down to P2. There's a change of the lead after Fredriksson had the lead for the entire race so far. As we see somebody rejoining, this could throw a spanner in the works here if they slow Balazs down. This is the Shrek livery of Perry. He's going to hopefully just lift and stay on the outside here and let Balazs through. As again, we see Tideman kind of looking up the inside of P2, which is, yeah, a strange choice, but we'll see what happens here. I think Tideman and Perry are actually racing for position, so that might explain why Tideman is so keen to get past. You see Perry on the left here. This is on board with Tideman, as he is going to get past, and again, still kind of looking up the inside of Fredriksson. Hopefully not going to collect him or anything, but no. Fredriksson stays ahead, and Tideman gets past Perry, so hopefully now these guys can all just kind of settle back down into their own separate battles. But going through all this backmarker traffic has let Romeo, who's in P3, catch up. He's going to nip past Perry here, and we can again see Tideman kind of attacking Fredriksson up ahead. And Perry also going to go alongside. Seems like he's got better speed out of that corner than the P3 car of Romeo. But we do see Perry lift, does the sensible thing, and lets P3 through. But now Fredriksson has a big issue by the looks of things, because not only has he let the back marker pass, he's also let P3 past. What happened there? He's coming down the back straight. Does he have an incident with this back marker? Does he maybe touch the back of him? No, doesn't seem like it. He just goes a little wide, touches the grass, but he was going so slow. There's no reason for him to let all these cars pass. And he's on the grass again. Has he got damage from something that we didn't see? I mean, that's 5 cars that have been past him, and he's on the grass again and fully off. There's got to be some kind of damage or something with his car. He's going to rejoin out of the sand pit, losing more positions, although luckily for him, they were all so far ahead that I think so far it's only cost him 1 position, all of this. It was only Romeo that actually got past him 4 position. Looking back at this replay in slow motion, this was as he came through that corner where we saw him suddenly start to have issues. He gets a puncture in his rear left tyre. You see there, it just suddenly drops down, and the lovely ACC graphics and physics do not handle that very well as his tyre starts to clip through the bodywork. But that is what happened. That's why everyone suddenly steams past him. So yeah, after spending the entire race in the lead, he's now got to try and limp a very, very hard to drive car around a damp circuit on presumably the same set of wet tyres from the start of the race that were already cooked, because I imagine that's why he got the puncture in the first place. But yeah, he's still got to do one more lap now. This is the final lap he's just starting, and you can tell just how miserable this is. Just, yeah, very, very hard to drive. The issue that he's got is that even though it's a short lap and he's almost halfway through it now, probably over halfway through, the gang of cars that have been battling for P5 and 6 for the entire race are now catching up, and we're going to see Yiltalo go past him. This is 4th position, and Del Rio in the Honda. One of those other cars was a back marker, but that's another 2 places lost for him. And these guys, Heusinkveld and Peltari, have already cleared Fredriksson as well. But Heusinkveld not got much time left to do anything now, as he's definitely not going to be able to overtake Peltari now. After doing a little 360, he managed to survive the entire race, and then, yeah, on the last lap, or second to last lap he might be on now, he finally does what so many people have done before him. Now, Amy looking to make up another position after overtaking me not too long ago, trying to claim the scalp of another Ferrari. She's going after Cook this time. Going to get very close, a little too close to the rear of him there. Give him a little tap. Now, goes for a late dive to the inside here. Thinks better of it. And that was definitely the sensible decision there, because it wasn't quite close enough to make that work. Cook has already been taken out once in this corner. Let's hope that's not going to happen again. I'm holding my breath here because it looked like that might happen again, but no, he's going to hold on to P12 for now. But yeah, there's only one lap left in this race now, so if Amy wants to get past, she's going to have to do it very soon. They're coming down the back straight. She's not close enough at all here. Just going to try and pressure Cook into a mistake. Gets very close. I don't think there was any contact. Well, I spoke too soon. There is contact now. But yeah, she does manage to get ahead. Onto the grass, a little wide though. Almost contact again, and Cook back in front. It's like the Kama Sutra out here, the way they're changing positions constantly. But it looks like Cook going to stay ahead for now. Let's say one more lap for them to try and settle this. And this is the final lap for Sherjak and Severin as they come through turn 1 for the last time. Big old wiggle for Severin there. Somehow going to kind of keep it alongside. Goes to outbrake Sherjak. I think that was a fair enough move quite late on the brakes there. A little contact there and a little sliding. I'm not really sure what happened there, but the end result is that Sherjak stays ahead. And we're back with this fairly aggressive battle that we had between Amy and Cook. We see Cook going to the inside this time to defend. And like I said, this is the very last lap, so the last time Amy is going to have any chance. She's looking to the inside again. Cook covering it off at the last second. This, I feel like this could end badly. They've already made contact a couple of times. Amy has the inside for this next corner, though. More contact. I'm just waiting for someone to just get absolutely destroyed here. And Amy kind of runs him off the road there. Yeah, these two not going to be friends after this one, I don't think. But Amy does get ahead and up into P12, and she's already built up quite a gap. Now, that might be because Cook had to kind of drive onto that straight from the grass and the mud that she pushed him onto, but yeah, we'll see if Cook can do anything to close this gap back up. I wouldn't have thought so, given there's not many corners left, but he's not going to need to because Amy just takes herself out on the final lap after doing all that work to get past him. Just a small mistake, and yeah, she's back down to P13. Now, Balaj coming up to lap me, but I don't think he's going to have chance because we're going into the final corner, and he is P1, so as soon as he crosses the line, that will be the race over for him, and I will be the last car still out on track, still doing valid laps. And he is indeed going to cross the line in P1, so a very good result for him. Followed not too far behind by Romeo, a good result for him as well. And then in P3 we have Peltari after holding off Heusinkveld for pretty much the entire race. He finishes on the final step of the podium. And then yeah, Heusinkveld coming home in P4, didn't actually lose any positions after that spin. P5, however, is still being decided by Yiltalo and Del Rio. Del Rio is right on the back of him. There's a back marker behind them. But yeah, nothing Del Rio is going to be able to do on the run up to the line. So Yiltalo going to take P5 and Del Rio P6. Then in P7, a very sad and frustrated Fredriksson, I'm sure, still battling with this puncture. That is a back marker behind him, so it won't cost him a position. Somebody going past him there. But yeah, he's going to drag it across the line, half on the tarmac, half in the grass, in P7 in the end. Pretty rough for him, going from P1 to P7 in the last couple of laps. And in 8th position, we have Sherjack, closely followed by the white BMW of Severin, finishing in 9th. And then rounding out the top 10, we have Mandel in the Lamborghini with the unicorn on it. In P11, we have Bromfield in the Mustang, quite a recovery from him. Followed by Cook in P12 after Amy had her little spin behind him. So he is going to win out in that one. And I don't think there are any penalties applied after the race, so he does keep P12. And I finished in P14, which is the same position I finished in every single one of these races. And we've got Sardonovich coming home in P15, which is actually pretty good considering he started from the pits. And we've got Hoke in the McLaren in P16. And Spinner in P17 after having quite a few incidents early on. Comes home in P17. Vegahaupt in the green Lamborghini also started from the pits and also finishes fairly well considering that, up into P18. And in P19 we've got Hamilton, who we didn't see too much of from the race, but yeah, he was the one that passed Fredriksson at the end there. And then the final position in the top 20 is still being decided between Mergel and Adam Milne. Adam in the Mustang on the right here. Mergel is actually going to get alongside, by the look of things, into the final corner of the final lap. Adam has the inside line, so you should think you'd be able to make this work, but he goes wide into the gravel, and Mergel does go through. So a position gained there for Mergel on the last corner of the last lap, and he takes P20. So I hope you enjoyed watching that pretty eventful race. I realized there were a lot of crashes, a lot of spins, a lot of self-inflicted deaths, which kind of makes everyone look terrible. It looks like we just can't drive, but honestly, this track is sketchy enough at the best of times in the dry. Once you add in the wet conditions, it's just a nightmare. You saw how many people died. Like, there is never anywhere near that many people dying just on their own in most races. So definitely a tough one, and fair play to everyone that managed to survive it without a crash or an incident. And speaking of that, we should do driver of the day. And I think for this one, there's a couple of choices. We could go with Peltari for holding on to P3 for the entire time with someone right on his ass the whole race. But he did lose it and then get gifted it back by Heisenberg messing up the pit stops. So I think instead we're going to go for another Mustang, and that is the Mustang of Yiltalo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but yeah, he was amongst the battle for P5 and P6 like the entire race. Ends up finishing in P5, and he gained 7 positions from where he started. So yeah, I think well-deserved driver of the day for him. And like I said last time, I'm not going to show the standings just yet because they're a bit of a mess because of the drop rounds, the fact that you can miss 2 rounds. And so the standings have already kind of removed 2 rounds from a lot of people, even though we've only done 3 rounds. So it doesn't make much sense yet, but we'll start showing them from next week's round, which is at Zandvoort. So I will hopefully see you there. Well, let's switch our attention to another Ferrari. No, it's not a Ferrari, it's a Porsche. Jesus.